Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. Today we are going to be taking a look at NASCAR Authentics Wave 10 for 2022. As you can see in front of you, it is another PTC mold wave, which does suck, but it is honestly a pretty solid wave. As you can see back there, pretty good selection of cars here. You got Patriotics, you got special paint schemes, a bunch of throwbacks, a couple exclusives. Like I said, not a bad wave selection at all. It's kind of funny how some of the best waves seem to be the PTC mold waves. I think I said in the past, I think it has something to do with the fact that like they know the people don't really like these, so they're purposely trying to put as many good cars in them as they can to really force people to buy them with the exclusives and everything else. Before I start this video, I will say I am recording on a new camera, so if stuff looks different or weird, that is why. For some reason, I'm having trouble getting the autofocus to work on this thing. So, you know, if anyone knows any tips for getting the autofocus to work, let me know, because that's having issues for some reason. But anyways, let's just hop right into the video. We'll start with Kyle Larson's HendrickCars.com Patriotic Chevy from the Coca-Cola 600. I think he also brought this back at Road America for the 4th of July weekend, too. Not a bad paint scheme. It's kind of cool to see just a different HendrickCars.com paint scheme anyways, just because it's, you know, they run the Ricky Hendrick paint scheme so much and everything that you barely get anything different anymore. So honestly, a pretty solid paint scheme. Still has the, you know, the usual HendrickCars.com colors, but with a, you know, completely different design and everything, so it's pretty cool to see. Hendrick goes back and forth whether or not they actually, you know, run patriotic paint schemes. Some years all 4 of the cars run them, then other years like one will run them and nobody else will, and then it's just, they even made a set of all 4 of these on the Yell mold, like the one of the little 4 box sets that Lionel makes occasionally of all 4 Hendrick cars for this and the Darlington throwback races. So if you want to get the entire set like that, you would definitely want to get those, not the, you know, PTC mold wave cars. So not a bad paint scheme. Still a bad mold. Next up, we've got Alex Bowman's number 48 Ally Nashville special paint scheme. Since Ally sponsors the race the last couple years, they've kept using the, you know, running special paint schemes the last couple years just because of the Ally 400. I believe this one was also designed by Dale Jr., if I'm not mistaken, because the first year they had, you know, a paint scheme designed by Dale Jr. and a paint scheme designed by Jeff Gordon, and they had people vote on them without saying who, you know, designed each one, and the Dale Jr. one won. So this year, I guess they just gave it to Dale Jr. and helped design it. I do love that they actually added a guitar to the front of the design for the, you know, being Nashville. That's pretty cool. This car also does have a, you know, as you can see, painted side skirt. Something Dale Jr. fights for and something I even fight for. I love the painted side skirts. I hate all the next gens just have like unpainted black side skirts 90% of the time, beyond some of the small teams. So I would say it's the manufacturer stopping them from doing it, but I mean, this one has it, so Chevy clearly doesn't really care, and there's a bunch of, you know, the smaller teams seem to do it, so I don't know, but solid choice for the wave. Next up, we have William Byron's number 24 Exalta throwback to Jeff Gordon's Flame car. Here is the car itself. Set the, you know, very iconic Jeff Gordon Flame paint scheme. Like I said in the last wave video, it's really funny to me that the all the other 3 Hendrick throwbacks ended up in the last wave on the good mold, and now this one gets shoved to wave 10 on the bad mold. I mean, like, this car especially, like, look at how stupid it looks that this car is, like, all bright and colorful, and then you used to have this big, solid black side skirt. Like, I don't know why they felt the need to do that on the next gens. I thought it was going to be like the COTs where early on they did that, and they, you know, more and more teams started to color them and use them, but still seems like it's just this. Like I said, why would the manufacturers care about that being black, though? That's what I don't understand. I mean, Toyota does have that, like, bottom piece. Is there even a... Oh, there's not even a Toyota in this wave. That's funny. But Toyota has, like, a little designer on the bottom of their cars, so maybe they would have a reason to be, you know, want it to stay that color, but, like, Chevy and Ford have no reason to, so I don't know. But there's William Byron's number 24. Next up, we have one of the first exclusives. We have Erik Jones Focus Factor Petty GMS Throwback. It's funny, he doesn't even say that Jones boy on the car. If you remember, that was coined at Darlington a few years ago. But you see, even on the name, Erik Jones, that Jones boy. That is really funny. This was weird because last year, both Ty Dillon and Erik Jones ran pretty cool looking throwbacks. You had matching throwbacks. Ty Dillon ran Lee Petty's and Erik Jones ran Richard Petty's with the 42 and the 43. I was honestly going to pick up the 124s of both, but then they just got fully DNP'd. I don't know what happened there. That was a shame. I was ready to get both 124s, and then the entirety just DNP'd. Luckily, they did both show up in Authentics. Or at least I did. Or did Ty Dillon show up in Authentics or not? I honestly can't remember now. All these crappy mold waves blur together. I could have sworn Ty Dillon showed up somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just forgetting that wrong now. It was probably it probably showed up 3 waves ago and I'm just forgetting it, or maybe it didn't show up at all. But either way, it is cool to at least get the Richard Petty one either way, because this is honestly the better looking one. You have the, solid Petty blue with the neon orange numbers and everything. This is the liquid color chase piece of the wave, so if you're looking for the liquid color, you need to look for this car. Said, really good looking car. Next up, we have Ross Chastain's Pitbull Can't Stop Us Now Tour number 1 for Trackhouse, the one he raced at Dover. I reviewed the 124 of this not too long ago, so if you want a more detailed video, you can go watch the 124 scale review. Said, pretty solid looking car. Wish it was a little bit more colorful, but it's just cool to get a Pitbull car, and it's especially cool they put this in Authentics. So you'll be able to see tons of Pitbull cars on the pegs. Again, it's one of those cars that everyone was kind of curious if they were actually going to be able to offer it or not. And it took them a few weeks to even offer it, so it looked like they did have a little bit of trouble offering it, but luckily it did get offered. Next up, we have Joey Logano's Verizon 5G Ford. This is the one he raced at the Kansas Spring Race last year. And is also back for this year, this weekend. He's running it at Martinsville. So if you don't know this paint scheme, you can see it in the very back there. It is the matching paint scheme to Will Power's current Verizon 5G IndyCar livery. I said that in one of the past videos, but it's really funny to me that they had matching paint schemes last season. And they both won the championships. So you can see a, comparison between the good mold and the bad mold right there. So again, you see for some reason they can't even paint the rims silver to match the chrome rims on the crappy mold. The colors really aren't that far off on this one. It's not as bad as it was on some of those early PTC mold waves. You can see still, for some reason, there is no hood vents. Don't know why that's too much for them to print, but there you can see a comparison right there. I'm glad this paint scheme is back for another season. Hopefully it gets offered again, because I really want a 124. Last year it was only made as a 164, that one back there. And now it's an Authentics too. But I'm glad we're finally getting more and more Logano cars and Authentics, because like I said, for a while there, it was there was a big gap of 10 waves without a single Logano car, and it was kind of pissing me off. But now we've gotten his Shell, AAA, Auto Trader, and now this. Hopefully we get one of his championship cars or his I would love his Pennzoil car from last year. Now this year he has a beautiful Pennzoil car, shades of Steve Park's paint scheme mixed with the old Nissan Skyline. That guy's still being pulled. It hasn't met MOQ or been DNP'd yet. Hopefully it makes it, because I'm going to be really mad if that one doesn't make it. That one looks really cool. Next up we have Chase Briscoe's Mahindra Tractors Darlington Throwback for Stewart Haas Racing. Of course, a throwback to the classic Target Lightning Bolt paint schemes and liveries. This one is specifically based on Tony Stewart's Target Lightning Bolt from the old Indy 500, but just a very iconic paint scheme. And I'm surprised this car DNP'd in 124 scale. This only got made as a 164. This is another car that I was honestly going to get the 124 of, but for some reason nobody wanted it. I guess it falls into that old, You get the, rednecks with the like, if it ain't a NASCAR, I don't want it. Which, technically speaking, this lightning bolt paint scheme has run in NASCAR at least twice. You had Juan Pablo Montoya the one year with the, speeding incident at the Brickyard. And then back in the day, Sterling Marlin, back in like 2001 or 2, raced a Target Lightning Bolt Coors Light paint scheme. So, I'm sure people don't remember that, though. At least the crappy mold does actually do the white printed tires for the throwback race. That's something, I guess. Next up, we've got Cole Custer's Haas number 41 Darlington throwback. Throwback to the classic Net Zero paint scheme. I believe this one, is this one a full exclusive to Authentics or not? I honestly can't remember. I know it didn't get made as a 124, but I can't remember if it got made as a 164 like that one or not. Part of me wants to say this is a full exclusive to this wave, but I always loved this paint scheme back in the day. Like, I've had, Ward Burton's old Net Zero paint schemes, and the Net Zero cars always look great for the Haas cars. I'm glad they finally did a, that looks really weird. It looks like the, what is, just got distracted by the headlights. They're like, the headlights are, missing. That looks so weird. Like, that one looks like it's almost too scrunched down, and that one looks like it's missing most of it except for those little bits on the end. And yet people still say there's nothing wrong with the PTC mold. We're all being little whiny man children, and we shouldn't be crying about it. Oh, there, I just gave them, props for being on the white lettering tires, and this one has yellow lettering tires. I tried to give you props for something, PTC mold, but nope. This one did all, let's see. That one's got white. That one's got white. This one's got white. This one has yellow, and the Kevin Harvick also has yellow. That was also a Darlington car, so yep, there you go. It's really funny. But there's that car. Now let's get down to the big car and the big oopsie. We have Kevin Harvick's pink Ream throwback. Start for another day, but the fact that it's a, they called this a throwback. It was, Ream's 500th race. So they decided to throw back to their October breast cancer pink cars. But instead of, maybe running like one of the old pink cars, they just took their regular nude Ream Harvick design and changed it pink. Kind of lame. But that is not the problem with this car. You might be noticing it by now, but there is a little bit of an oopsie here. As you can see, it has bush on a 1/64 scale in the toy aisle for children. That is a big no-no right there. And that is something that get Lionel in some real trouble. Because here, if I bust out, I have a sealed one over here, because I wanted to buy a sealed one to, commemorate this. As you can see, sealed car with bush where it says ages 3 and up. Like I said, that is not good. They did blank it out of the render on the back, but like I said, that is a big no-no right there. Here's the regular EL mold boxed 164. As you can see, they did take it off of the boxed 164, but in the glory of the crappy mold, they forgot to take it off of their authentic. You can see a little bit of difference in the color. But like I said, they are way closer now with the colors. They're still not perfect, but they're way better than that first Wave 4. But that's just such a major screw-up that Lionel really hasn't done in a long time. There was one little 164. It was like one of his Xfinity cars or something that had Budweiser, I think, on the B-post, but it was so tiny you couldn't really see it. But this one is just out there for everyone to see. So you're going to want to pick this car up because this is like the only time you're ever going to get a bush on a 1/64 scale that's not on a base or anything. Especially on like one of these alternate sponsor cars. Like, they make the bush cars in 1/64 scale, but they're on bases. But anytime they make, like you just saw with the CL mold, anytime they make any of the other sponsor cars, they get rid of bush, so it doesn't have to be on a base. So this is like the only time you're probably ever going to see bush in Authentics. Well, there was that, back in 2016, they did make his Busch Darlington throwback in that special Authentics throwback way, but it was on a base. And it was, not allowed to be sold right on the pegs in the toy aisle, because they knew about that. But Lionel is apparently aware of this, because just a few days ago, they posted their, Authentics are now available at Macy's Toys R Us stores. And they photoshopped that logo off the side, but they forgot to Photoshop that off the roof. But that's worth pointing out. Like, that is a major problem. I think that's a bigger issue than a lot of people realize. Like, I'm sure a lot of people just say, like, oh, who cares, so we get a more accurate diecast. But like I said, Lionel could legitimately get in trouble with that if anyone wanted to complain too much. I was kind of half expecting that to be pulled from stores. When it first, showed up in the Lionel store, I was like, they were selling them, and I kind of half thought that we were just, by the time this wave popped up in stores, it was suddenly just going to be gone from the wave. But that one I just showed you box, they just picked that up at Walmart the other day. This wave is surprisingly showing up very well all of a sudden. Said Authentics have gotten way better in stores. I've been finding more and more waves in stores now, but like the last week or so, across Walmarts and Targets, every store I've gone to has this Wave 10 pretty stocked nicely. So if you want this wave, you should be able to easily find this wave, because I'm finding tons of it. So maybe they finally fixed some of their distribution issues. Like I said, pretty solid wave. Saying that it's on the PTC mold, but again, nice solid choices for this wave. But I think that's pretty much all there is to say. This has been a review of NASCAR Authentics Wave 10 for 2022. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.